Welcome to In Confidence, where what we share in confidence helps us grow in confidence. This season is a very special season, season 3, and this is all about the last quarter challenge. Each week on Tuesday, we're introducing a micro moment, something that will help you ladder up to having more confidence and being stronger in your life. It's our training plan for confidence. This week's challenge is one of my favorites, and it's called the Microbrag. Now, when you say the word brag to somebody, it has a negative connotation, I think, because it makes someone feel like, I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want to show off. And so that's why I call it a microbrag, because I want to destigmatize this idea of bragging about ourselves. Last week we started with this reflection of most improved player. How have we gotten stronger? And this week I want you to take it a step further, which is I want you to now externalize something that you're really proud of and take credit for it. And take credit for it with someone else or in a context or a setting where you have to vocalize something that you're proud of about yourself. Now, it's called a microbrag because it's not about arrogance. It's about confidence. I want you to name something that you're genuinely proud of because you decided it mattered. It made you feel stronger, not because you want to impress anyone or you're looking for status or there's anything you want, but just something that you're really proud of or excited about in your life. And they represent who you are, who you want to be. It's about celebrating yourself. I will also say it's not about reciting your resume, because that I can look up on LinkedIn. It's something that is so special in your life that you want to share it with others and you're excited and passionate about it. And it creates a connection with someone that goes far beyond demography. One thing that happened to me in the last few weeks in my travels is I actually met 2 women who both microbragged to me, and it was opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of life journeys. But in both, it led to really incredible, deep conversations, and I saw them differently. So one person I was sitting next to on an airplane, and she turned to me, and I'm not a plane talker. I'm really not a plane talker, but I have a lot of freebies on the airplane. So I was eating my True Fruit freeze-dried strawberries covered in dark chocolate, which I get for free on United. Thank you, United Airlines. And she was like, oh my gosh, I love those. And we just started talking. And it was interesting when I asked her a little bit about herself. I said, okay, what's exciting in your life? What's going on? Because I don't love to say, what do you do for a living and where do you live? She turned to me and she said, I am the proud mother of 3 incredible children, all in their 20s, living their best lives. I have different times where I worry about one of them at a time. And right now, I am proud to say all 3 of my kids are in really good places in their life. And I thought, what a micro brag. How cool is that? On the other end of the spectrum, I did an event with someone in Boise, Idaho, the CMO of a really incredible company, sort of a high-powered female executive. And in one of our prep calls, she said, oh, I couldn't do it last week because I was swimming the English Channel. I just finished the Triple Crown of, I think she had swum Catalina, around Manhattan, and across the English Channel. Now, this is not something that's on her LinkedIn profile. And she was just so jazzed and excited to talk about it. And I thought, I am genuinely happy for her. And we got into her training plan and all the things that go into it and how did she fit it into her busy life and schedule. But the micro brags were not about impressing another person. They were just things in their lives that they were just so excited to share about themselves. Why is this important? Why is micro bragging an important thing to practice? Well, here's the science behind it. First, most of us, as I shared in my first book that I've written, we live inside our inner critic. Our inner critic comes out before we do. And there's a number of forces like deficit mindset, where we see our weaknesses over our strengths, or shrinking effect, where we underestimate ourselves, shortchange ourselves, or satisfaction conundrum, where we tie our happiness to an external marker of success. We're sitting inside all of these very dark forces all the time. The way we break out of it is when we pay ourselves a compliment, when we can see something good in our lives that breaks us out of that negative cycle. And I think when we microbrag, it's not that we just had this thought about ourselves, about something we're really proud of, but we take that moment to share it with someone else. And when you say it out loud, what that ends up doing is it creates an auditory reinforcement. Hearing your own voice praise you creates dual coding. The brain processes the message both as a speaker and as a listener. That blew my mind when I realized the science of it. So this double encoding makes it stick more than silent reflection. So last week we talked about most improved player, where you write down how you've gotten stronger. I would say microbragging takes it a step further and creates an auditory reinforcement where you're saying it out loud and you hear it. It also interrupts your negativity bias because our brains default to replaying our mistakes. When we verbalize a win, we interrupt that loop and we redirect our energy towards growth. Our guest later this week is Jennifer Shahadi, and she is a national chess champion. She's a poker champion. And one of the things she said to me that you're going to hear later about is young girls that she's training on chess that are 8 years old, 12 years old, they have a negative loop of thoughts in their mind. And she actually has them out loud brag about certain plays they've made or certain wins. She calls it a confidence primer that she creates for these young girls, almost so they can microbrag to others, but mostly to themselves. And that kind of interrupts that negativity bias they have before going into a big chess tournament. I would also say, just through the act of microbragging, it creates a repetition that strengthens your neural pathways. So what we're trying to do is, as you do it more and more, we create a confidence trail that gets stronger. And each time you walk and recognize a success out loud and walk down that trail, you keep walking that trail over and over again, making it more defined. We're also trying to create what we would call a reward circuit activation. When you celebrate out loud something that matters to you, you activate your dopamine pathways. It's the same circuits that are tied to motivation and to habit formation. So dopamine isn't just about pleasure, like eating a piece of chocolate. It's reinforcement. And the brain learns, hey, let's do this again. So you're going to practice some microbrag this week, I hope. And one thing I will tell you is, once you've picked something that you're really proud of, again, not because externally it's validated or it gives you status, think about the situations in which you can use that. For example, I was sitting next to someone on a plane and I said, hey, what's something you're excited about in your life right now? That created an entree for her to talk about how all 3 of her kids were all living their best lives right at that moment. And by the way, something she said is, as a mother, you're worrying all the time. And it's so nice right in this moment while I'm sitting on the plane with you to not be worried about any of my 3 kids. If you're at a dinner party, oftentimes when I sit at a dinner party and someone says, hey, what do you do? Whatnot, I often talk about the fact that every single day I get to work and lead a company that is on a mission to catalyze confidence. Or if I'm in a meeting where I'm trying to get us publicity or something for something we're doing, I will talk about how proud I am that we wrote a book that changes people's lives and also was a national bestseller. And because it hit that success, it created the ability for us to have more women get book deals or to change more people's lives. So oftentimes when I microbrag, I'll more talk about how excited I'm about the benefit, the impact, or why I'm passionate about it, not just the specific accomplishment or achievement. So for this week, 1 microbrag. To yourself, write it down. And then to someone else, just say, I'm proud of something in my life. There's something I'm really excited about, or I've had a win this week, or over the last year, here's something I'm really proud of. It could be I switched careers and I'm so much happier in the field that I am in now. I'm starting a business and just got my first investor. I'm proud of the kids I'm raising. You can also use tools to do this. I continue to talk about my friend Maggie Palmer's Pep Talk, her app. So you can create a brag file, a micro brag file for yourself. But take it one step further and say it out loud. In some context, it could be small. You could even call up your best friend and say, hey, can I just microbrag to you for a second? Because I think it'll feel really good to say this out loud to someone. Microbragging lightly builds reps. It's like flexing a muscle. It shifts the narrative. Instead of waiting for others to validate you, validate yourself. Give yourself the compliment. Don't wait for the compliments to come. And saying it out loud normalizes pride and gives others permission to share their wins too. I think it's really fun if you are doing this with someone else. If you microbrag to each other, it creates a safe space to do it in. And it ladders. So last week we reflected on how far we've come. And this week we're giving voice to it. Next week, we're actually going to spread it outwards. We're going to spread the joy outward through compliments. We're going to talk about compliment ripple next week. Microbragging is so important because it starts with what you're genuinely proud of, not necessarily seeking external validation or seeking to impress others. So this week, I hope you'll try it. Credit yourself. Be brave. Say it out loud to someone else. Notice how it feels. Notice how others respond. And I promise you it'll give permission for others to do the same or to ask you questions. You'll have some of the deepest conversations you've ever had. I hope you've loved this episode of In Confidence. I hope you're getting a lot out of the second challenge of our last quarter challenge. I hope you're leaving the space stronger than when you entered it. If you love this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today, especially the person that you're going through the last quarter challenge with. Subscribe so you never miss a moment of inspiration, and this season in particular, because you want every single micro moment to matter. And until next time, in the words of my 9-year-old self, I see you, I value you, and I believe in you. This is In Confidence.